welcome to Arco, just 3 days on from the conclusion of the World Championships in Japan. Here we are live from the Trentino region of Italy, and Charlie Bosco and Mike Langley here to talk you through it. Mike, despite the jet lag, and apologies by the way this week if we forget what day it is or what our names are, but Mike, regardless of the jet lag, which might be slightly muddying our thinking, Arco's always special.
It's a fantastic place and made all the better because I managed to find a sushi and a ramen last night just to keep myself on my toes from Tokyo. Yeah, it's been a very short amount of hours since we left that amazing World Championships, but the Youth World Championships is always special, and what a better place to have it than the Arco. You can see the cliffs in the background, and just the level of sport around here is fascinating.
Before to start, hi everybody in the stadium. Ciao! Alright, now here we are, left side of the wall for the male youth B semi-final. The first climber is from India and is Aman Varma. On the right side of the stadium, we have started from Chile with Carmen Contreras. And on the most right side of the stadium, we have started from Russia with Alexei Yakushev. Alright, let's see what these routes will give us as a show. So junior male on the right, youth B on the left, and then male youth B on the most left side. try to understand which is the sequence to went out of the point. And Alexei set the first high point of the day for the semi-final junior category.
Venga, Carmencita,
That's
venga.
really
Venga.
beautiful route, but let's say
Duro.
orange female route with Carmen.
Duro, Carmen,
Trying
venga.
to understand could be the right sequence. It's always not easy.
Venga, Carmen.
Venga, Carmen.
Ya.
Nice one for Carmen Contreras, Chile. The first three has gone.
Más. Muy bien, Carmen.
All right. First wave of leads. Let's establish the first high point of the day for each route. Seems to be really interesting routes. For sure, climbable in the first part of the see. And so now here we are for the male youth B category with Attila Zombros Radix from Hungary.
Alejo.
And on the other side, representing of Italy, we have Giovanni Placci. And for the female youth B category, representing Italy, we have Viola Battistella. So I started on the left side, Attila Radix from Hungary on that pink route for the male youth B category. Let's check it out at the start. While I started also Giovanni Placci, one of the most crazy and wonderful guy of our junior national team. He's usually also in the senior category competition during all the season, and he performed really well both in wood and climber. Because he is obviously as a national athlete worked a lot in all three disciplines. I don't know which is his favorite. He always enjoyed everything in wood. Only that he don't care, he just loves to climb. So Giovanni Placci is climbing usually the first part of the route, while Viola Battistella has right now the first sequence. Molto bene. Viola Battistella che controlla correttamente la sequenza, Giovannino Placci come un fulmine, la sta già godendo tutta. Allora, di Giovanni diciamo sempre, la differenza tra genio e follia si misura con il successo, dati i colpi di testa che è abituato a farci vedere durante le competizioni. Ma se in questo momento si sta trovando in semifinale al campionato del mondo giovanile, una ragione ci sarà. In fondo sia Giovanni che Viola hanno già vinto tutto quello che si poteva vincere in categoria giovanili. A questo punto è il momento di confrontarsi con i miti più alti, quelli che vanno verso una categoria senior. Giovannino Placci prosegue pulitissimo nella sua azione. While on the other side, even Attila Radix is really well climbing his semi-final. Seems to be really interesting route from all the three categories, and while Giovanni Placci is really
Check.
seems to be in a comfort situation on that semi-final race. Now just check it out. Try to stay strong. Ale Viola.
Hello and welcome to Arco. I hope you can hear me. Charlie Bosco, Mike Langley here. Apologies, we're only just joining. Had one or two technical issues, which I believe have now been resolved. yeah, hopefully you can hear us at home. We should have been with you about 15 minutes ago, but for some reason I'm having some audio issues, so hopefully you can hear us. It's not the first time I've said these words. Hopefully this time you can actually hear us. As I say, Charlie Bosco and Mike Langley here, 3 days on from Hachioji. Not quite sure what day of the week it is. Forgotten my own name, but fatigue aside, it is. Mike, it's always nice to be here in Arco, isn't it? Always a pleasure. Yeah, we've got 3 lead semi-finals all running concurrently. We've got male youth B lead, female youth B lead, and male juniors lead. And appear to still be having a few technical issues. This is over on the right-hand wall as we look at the venue here in Arco. If you've been to visit, it's a pretty distinctive place with a huge metal structure that houses the wall. Should theoretically mean it's, I was about to say rainproof. It's vertical rainproof. Jonas Brandenburger of Germany on the right, climbing in the junior category. That's the oldest climbers represented. Climbers born in 2000 or 2001, and then it's Youth A, climbers born in 2002, 2003. We don't have any of them competing in this semi-final right now. And then we've got both men's and women's Youth B, which is climbers born in 2004 and 2005. Yes, that's right. Some climbers were born in 2005 and are absolutely tearing down the wall in Arco. It'll be slightly tricky, I fear, to keep a track on exactly where it are at all times. We're going to be jumping between 3 routes. As I say, move prove a little bit tricky, but we'll try and at least capture a good glimpse of everyone. And this is, as I said earlier, Jonas Brandenburger of Germany. He's the only German representative in this male juniors semi-final. Suddenly hit, I was about to say, the steep section of the Arco wall. The whole thing's pretty steep. Over on the left here, David Zinsler of Austria. A few of the Austrian coaches come directly from Tokyo. Hachioji. We had the World Championships that concluded on Wednesday evening. And this is the left of the wall, as I say, this quite distinctive wall here in Arco, basically 2 lead walls underneath a huge metal structure. And this is the left-hand one. We had the women's final on here, I believe it was last year in the World Cup. We'll try and keep you up to date as best we can as well with scores. David Zinsler falls just below the roof. I was just saying, I it was, must have been last year, 2018, we had a World Cup here in Arco, and that left-hand panel left of the speed wall was where the women's final was.
On his left side, representing Austria,
Simon Puticek of the Czech Republic on the right-hand side there, climbing in male juniors. Mike, we've had one or two issues. I believe you're with me. Perhaps not. I can assure you at home, Mike Langley is definitely sitting next to me.
On the right-hand side of the wall here, is it getting pretty good progress on all of the free routes so far, actually?
Mike, you are here. Fantastic. Apologies at home for the ongoing audio problems. We're getting simultaneously silence and then deafening noise in our headphones. Mike, I hope you're with us now.
We are trying our best here, climber 2, from the Czech Republic. This is a third of the way up the wall here in Arco. Massively long wall, actually a fair bit of rope drag through his left, over across his left thigh there. Mostly around 50 moves here in the semi-final rounds, 48 moves in the youth B on the far left of the wall, 50 moves just left of this chap on the female youth B, and the male junior 49 moves. It's a long way to go here.
Yeah, the wall will look familiar if you watch our coverage from Arco every year. We're generally here for one event or another. Most recently it's generally been a World Cup. This year we're just here for the Youth World Championships. As I say, the steep wall and the way it curves back towards the ground will no doubt be familiar to regular viewers.
Just to give you a little idea of where they are on the wall here, there's hold 28, around hold 28 before pushing out 29, 30, 31, there's 2 on the volume here. Going quite well, getting to this roof section that's about to come up, actually. Panels that go all the way through the overhang and end up pointing back down before turning the lip.
Yeah, there's quite a nice symmetry actually, I think, between the fact that we've got the youngest stars of the future climbing as we lose Simon. Yeah, we've got the stars of the future climbing on the same wall where basically every legend of the sport has climbed. Male Youth B, when I was born in 2004 and 2005. It's done on birth year, it's not done on age at a specific time, it's simply done on birth year. So there could be 1 day short of a 2-year discrepancy within a single category. But they've got to draw the line somewhere.
Yep, that's the rules. Toby fully established here on hold 28 at the moment. Such experience, Toby, for such a young climber, always good on the rock as well. You can see that technique. Double frog, double knee bend.
Right, Mike, I believe we're firmly sorted, and we believe, hopefully at home, you can hear us.
Yeah, a couple of false starts, to apologise to the viewers out there, but we should be up and running fully here. It's a shame to get such a great championships off to a bit of a technical, but there we are, we're up and running.
I think it was a bit like us well, I have to say I wasn't with you when your alarm went off, but a bit like me this morning when the alarm went off. A couple of false starts, but we ended up where we needed to be. Toby Roberts really hitting the steep section of the wall here over at Youth B, and as I say, we've got female Youth B. We haven't seen too much of them just yet. We did see Carmen Contrera earlier on, Viola Battistella of Italy earlier on as well. They're on the middle route, immediately to the right of speed wall, and then further right again, it's male juniors. Toby looking a little bit gassed all of a sudden.
Yeah, currently on hold, 34.
It's a big move up here though.
Really techy little knee bar that he was using quite a lot of between those three wooden volumes lower down, but it just seems to have picked up the pace and just kicked it up a gear a little bit here. He's clearly pumped, it heads into the steepest section of this wall.
Usual IFSC rules here. We are looking for 8 climbers to go through to the final. 6-minute time limit as well. And it could actually be a little more important than it was in the Senior World Championships last week, where we had a very short wall because the walls, all the walls that we use here at Arco are so long.
Interesting sequence here. I was just querying this one with the route, said it looked particularly hard. It's currently that side pole that he's matching is hold 39 through a couple of big slopey volumes, but the next slopey volume up and left is pretty good. Oh, just shoots around the back of it with his left tail, and that was a good effort from Toby, and he looked pumped a little bit early, but managed to really step it up halfway through the route.
Did you know of South Korea now? First South Korean out today. You see the speed wall in the background there. We've got a full program for you here in Arco. Speed coming up, I believe it's Tuesday, Wednesday. Had to consult my calendar. Tuesday, Wednesday, we've got the speed for you. You see the just cutting loose there. Firmly back in control. Saw quite a number of her compatriots taking part in the Senior World Championships last week. South Korea just seems to be able to churn out top climbers. Cheon-seo, the latest one we've seen. Who will be the next Cheon? Who will be the next Yanya? And that's a slightly disappointing result. Looks like she had something left. Just to keep you up to date with scores, as Andoni Espata Frade, apologies for my Spanish pronunciation, potentially, makes its way out. Simon Postacek of the Czech Republic leading the way over on the junior wall, 35 plus for him. And Toby Roberts, who we saw earlier, 40 plus for him, currently enough in the men's Youth B semi-final.
Maxim makes his start on this left-hand line. Really good-looking route. Classic yellow side of this Arco arena. I feel like, Toby Roberts' current position on the wall is pretty good at the moment. It'd be interesting. It was not a million miles away from the top of the 40 plus, currently leading the way.
As I say, very like an IFSC World Cup or World Championship, we're looking for 8 climbers in each category to go through the finals, which will take place this evening. And then tomorrow, we've got exactly the same program, albeit with different age groups. So in every round, lead semi-final, boulder semi-final, lead final, boulder final, speed final, we've got 3 age groups and 2 genders to get through. So a lot of action to come for you in the next 8 days or so, live from the shores of Lake Garda.
One thing that you'll notice, especially in the male and female junior categories, quite a lot of those climbers will be up and running on the senior circuit, so we must see some of the bigger names out there already competing in front of us here in Arco. Rumours are there's a couple of people who did try and qualify in Hachioji, Japan, also here in Arco. It's competing in both of the World Championships.
Yeah, including Brooke Rabbatu, who is Olympic qualified. I imagine it's pretty hard to kind of stay in the competition zone with news like that buzzing around your head.
Yeah, I saw Brooke in town yesterday having an ice cream, relaxing, looked particularly pleased, obviously. Just
surprised.
that weight off her shoulders, got that qualification spot. Biggest stage of them all.
Maxim Gnukov of the Ukraine, who we're staying with here in the male B lead semi-final. If you are just tuning in, good morning, welcome to Arco. Charlie Bosco and Mike Langley here, 5Ks to the north of Riva del Garda in the Lake Garda beaches. Youth World Championship gets underway, and we've got 8 days of it coming up for you. We are sticking right now with Maxim. We haven't actually got a clear view of the wall from our commentary position. We're slightly tucked around the corner. We can only catch a glimpse of it, but I can see that Daria Glotova of Russia is underway. And that looks like Andoni. On the men's junior route as well, as we lose Maxim below Toby Roberts' high point. Apologies, now we've got a bit closer. It's Julien Clemence of Switzerland on the right. Keep an eye on Julien. Just heard from the venue MC that the DJ is online. May or may not be good news depending on your taste. Definitely likes volume 11 if it's the same guy we normally have in Arco.
Crank it up to the gigawatts, it's time for the DJ.
Yeah, if you just want to listen to the MC and the DJ, you could probably sit in Milan and still be able to hear them.
Julian going pretty well here at the moment, hold 30.
His cross-through moves already been causing a few problems, though. That's how it stands right now. Remember, we want the top 8 through. Done well to negotiate that, and you get quite a good rest up here.
Hold 33, 34 now, 49 moves total on this far. Right-hand line, I should say. Not in speed climbing just yet.
Now, as I say, Tuesday, Wednesday, we've got the speed climbing. You can see the wall awaiting the climbers there on the left. Julien having a really good burn here. This familiar part of the Arco wall that begins to snake back down towards the ground. Some of the greats have gone feet first through this.
Yeah, I was just asking the route setters earlier, where's the inevitable feet first section? He said, there's definitely proposed a few questions in the roof. Maybe not on this right-hand line, but potentially in the Youth B female on the left, just left of Julian here.
Big shout out to the route setters, albeit at this very early stage. Seem to get it about right in the qualifiers and in the semi-finals. Nice spread of scores so far. Entertaining routes. No clear cruxes where we're losing climbers all at the same point. It's a good start. It's not easy to set any youth categories.
Yeah, it is a really big challenge. There's so many routes to set as well. They actually shared quite a few of the routes with minor tweaks through the qualifying round. Julian just picking up the pace through this tricky roof section. Looks like he's read it quite well up to here. Almost fully feet first there, but climbing in a conventional manner at the moment. Smashes over to hold 40. You know, an idea of just how steep that roof section is, what an angle that is. First hold round the lip is 44.
He's going really well here, Julien. The route suddenly looks quite toppable. Doesn't really let up though. Oh, Oh, he's got endurance to burn. Switzerland also got their first qualified Olympian last week, and this week they get a really good burn from Julien Clémence. I think he's happy with that one.
Yeah, that's a brilliant effort. Thoroughly enjoyable to see a first climber through the roof around hole 44, 45, 46.
Leo Costanza now of the United States over on the left. As we mentioned, they've got a qualified Olympian. Rudolf Ruana and Nathaniel Coleman weren't too far from joining Brooke in the Olympics. This is where IFSC climbing careers begin here in the Youth World Championships. We've got some pretty serious contenders taking part today. A lot of the names I think will be quite familiar to regular IFSC viewers. Federica Papetti is in the small screen on the bottom right, as you might expect, getting a lot of encouragement from the crowd, which is actually building quite nicely here in Arco.
Yeah, just as we lose
Leo.
Leo.
Let's keep an eye on Federica Papetti. You can see in the background the huge rock face that used to play home to very early climbing competitions here in Arco. Been having climbing competitions for 33 years, I think it is. Actually, I haven't talked to Angelo as the organiser here, a legend of competition climbing, and haven't confirmed exactly what year we're on now, well into the 30s.
And some of those traditional competition rock routes that you can actually see but you can't climb on anymore. Not sure if you want to anyway. It's kind of glassy, I think, by now would be a bit of an understatement, but it's really interesting to see the history of Arco. Federico just working away from 22 or 22 at the moment.
We haven't seen him, but Mathieu Miquel of France has just been announced to the crowd, so he will be underway. There he is. He is underway in the junior lead.
Good effort from Federico. Unfortunately, she just sort of burnt out in the middle section of the wall there.
Genevieve Dennis will be next out of the United States onto that route. Here's Mathieu Miquel.
Yeah, interesting section on that men's route. Those three black rails, actually three individual screw-on rails, but they, yeah, it's not immediately obvious how good they are to hold from the ground. See, they're in a perfectly straight line across this wall here. Wall here in Arco has got these sort of, indented features in all of the panels here, and the climbers are allowed to use anything they want for their hands or their feet. So those who have got experience on this wall here tend to be able to use those features quite wisely, especially if you're a local. You get to know the ins and outs of all the best bits on the wall. Maybe a slight local advantage potentially, but teams do come here and train in the off-season as well.
See just what might describe that Mathieu pulling up round a little lip, about 20 centimetre lip. Over on the left, Ilya Baket Smolensky. Genevieve Dennis just again heard her being introduced to the crowd. Mathieu just couldn't figure out that mid-sequence.
Yeah, he was just powering out around 30, hold 30-31 on the right-hand side. I thought that's probably not going to be enough at this stage to get through to the finals later on tonight.
is Ilya. Men's Youth B, Genevieve Dennis, small screen, bottom right.
Ilya looking really powerful through that big section of slopey volumes. The sun currently just off of the wall on that left-hand line at least. You can see it just beaming into the arete just to his left, and the temperature really kicking up a gear here.
Toby Roberts still got the high point on this men's Youth B route, 40 plus for him. Ilya's teammate Maxim Vnukov is currently sitting fourth with 31. Awful long way to go though.
Really pinned on his left shin at the moment, manages to get it out and sorted. This is the rest that we saw from Toby as well. Feet placed heel to heel. This very frog-like rest position. Seems to be a really good rest on this route. Going to need it because the angle change is coming though. Resting on hold 27, moves up to 28 now. Oh, he's got a full sort of shoulder bar in there as well. Good clever climbing here.
Oh, that's nice work. Yeah, if you've got good hip flexibility and a reasonable pain tolerance, that's not a bad rest. You can see there, bottom right of your screen, Genevieve Dennis beginning to hit the steep terrain. She'll go up that panel, and there's a slightly lower angled one, and then it's when the wall begins to curve back down. Hyujoo No of South Korea still leading the way, the women's Youth B. 31 for her. Bit too early to say. I think what score might be required as we lose Genevieve Dennis.
Ukraine on the wall, two climbers left and right at the moment.
Yeah, Mikhail Tkachuk on the right. There he is, bottom right of your screen. We're sticking with Ilya for now.
Yeah, this is a sequence where we saw Toby getting that really good knee bar. Ilya's looking really good up to this point. Definitely the all-round package as an athlete. Got the technique. Certainly got the resting sequences dialed. Really leaning into that knee bar. As much out of that as possible, but he is looking tired. You can see him fully crimping on the left hand now.
All Ukraine right now. We await the arrival of Angie Scarth-Johnson of Australia. She'll be the next climber we see on the Youth B women, as we lose Iliam just going up, not quite reaching the high point of Toby Roberts. I'll just wait for the score to come through. I think that'll put him into second place.
Yeah, that's a hold 37, around 37 where he came off.
Yeah, him and Leo Costanza of the USA will be pretty similar, I think, when the scores do finally update. Still waiting for the scores to update. Come on. You know you want to.
Mikhail is on this far right hand lane now. This is where we're seeing a few athletes starting to struggle. See if he can get through this section cleanly. That right hand has a nice thumb catch on it to help make this transition around the corner.
Julien Clemence still comfortably leading the way, 10.5 moves further on than his nearest rival.
Yeah, you would have thought that's going to be hard to beat in the semi-final round, even in this early stage.
Yeah, it's like a World Cup and World Championship as well. The climbers come in reverse order to their qualification ranking. So in theory, we should have the stronger climbers coming out last. Generally, isn't how it works, but that's the theory.
Currently on hold 34. Chasing down that high point as Charlie's head 45. A little bit more progress and you head into current second place.
There's Angie Scarth-Johnson, just appeared, bottom right of your screen, Team Australia.
This is the setup move for the roof then. It's really exciting to see a climber from this position going into this roof section. Really pumping the hands, a quick double tap right hand match before he moves into the roof. Then has he got something left? This roof section is so sort of bicep power dependent. Usually climbers want to see them really sprinting through this steepest section of the wall there. Is getting a quick shake off before heading into the classic roof here at Arco.
You can see Julien actually got onto those two volumes right at the top of your screen there and was kind of fighting his way up towards the triangular volume that's half in shot, half out. So work still to be done to catch and match that high point.
And you're getting lots of support from Team USA, as you would expect.
And from Team Australia as well.
Team USA cheer for everybody.
Yeah,
that was the joke.
Yeah, sorry. Someone passed me by.
Come on. Have another coffee, get with the programme.
You can see on the small screen as we lose Angie just below the really steep section of the wall. Olivia Ma, speaking of Team USA, is out next.
Mickey Earl just struggling in this roof section a little bit. So cryptic usually are these roof sequences. Does seem to have got it sorted now, but quite slowly through there. The level of endurance here is quite phenomenal. He's been up there for a long time now.
Yeah, but we can't have a clock on. As we lose him, that's definitely enough for second place, but he won't be taking the provisional lead. Yeah, because we've got 3 semi-finals, we're kind of jumping between. It's not really possible to have the clock on screen, the feed for each clock and to jump between them, but he must have been pretty close to his time limit.
This is Nimrod from Hungary on the left. Starting to get a little bit more familiar with these lines now. This is Youth B, if you have just joined us on the left-hand side, semi-final.
Yeah, 2004, 2005, so for a lot of these climbers it will be their first Youth World Championship.
Looking really pumped here, Nimrod. And does. Unfortunately, we do lose him around that volume section. Hold 37. Tremendously long routes here. Just if you were watching our streams over in Japan, it was average move was 42. We're close to 50 here in Arco for the youth. Two route setters setting to the wall that they have, and it's a pretty long wall here. See Olivia. Team USA will certainly come to life in the crowd now.
Yeah, we are fresh actually from Japan. I'm actually quite impressed you managed to find your hotel room, Mike. So,
yeah, it was 3 in the morning, but
a little bit of confusion's inevitable, I think. Oh, we lose her really low down. That's a disappointing result for her. Really committed up with the right hand, but it wasn't the way to do it.
Big disappointment. I think that'd be a score of 9+. Unfortunately for Olivia, would have looked for a lot more than that.
Anselmo Bazzani. Thank you to the MC for just illustrating the perfect pronunciation just before I said it. It's underway. Youth B men over on the left of the wall. Kieran Forrest now as well of Team GB underway. 4 more climbers to go on that men's youth route. I'll start again. 4 more climbers to go on the junior route over on the right hand side of the wall before the cleaning break. As with the World Cup or World Championship semi-final, we've got a cleaning break halfway through the semi-final after 13 climbers. And the route setters really got their work cut out, not only in cleaning, but as Mike said earlier, in setting. They've got to set so many routes. And it's really hard to replicate as a fully grown adult, as a 30-year-old route setter, how a 15-year-old climbs.
Yeah, I think on the male juniors is kind of their favoured category in many ways, because it's the athletes they're almost most familiar with. But when you get through the sort of younger climbers in Youth A and especially Youth B, yeah, it's a really big challenge, and yeah, you have to pull out all the different tricks in the book. And a lot of times you may think that the routes are really, really hard, and then you see the climbers breezing through it because they just fit into the gaps, and that the moves have been set much easier than the route setters themselves, and it is a real challenge. So yeah, it's big hats off to the route setting team here. It's a big week, it's hot and it's hard.
Emma Seliskar of Slovenia, the 11th climber out, bottom left. Women's Youth B.
Kieran Forrest on the right hand side there, just disappearing out the shots. The camera person just moves to frame up Kieran. Fantastic in the British team set up the last few years.
Still Julien Clémence, he's hunting down if he wants the new high point.
He's just using one of those features for his left foot. Obviously knows this wall quite well now.
It has been qualifying over the past couple of days here on the lead wall. We've got more lead tomorrow as well. Same programme, just with 3 different categories, but semi-finals at 10 and then finals starting at 5 p.m. So exactly the same schedule tomorrow, just with, as I say, different climbers.
Kieran just getting through that tricky section of sort of larger and slower to the thumb catches quite nicely with the crossover for the right hand.
Starting to get a little pump now, I think.
Bazzani on the small screen, lower down, going really well as well. It's a tricky move that he just made up with his right hand to that blocked crimp. That's a pinch almost.
Sadly, we lose him just as he hits the really steep section of the orange left-hand side.
Kieran into the roof section now, needs to get this clip done before pushing on.
Oh, as soon as the feet cut loose, you feared it was not going to end well.
I think he's going to be a little bit disappointed with that. It looked like he had a little bit of something left, but that roof is so punishing. Emma Seliskar going okay here, but just struggled to get the right heel on a little bit.
Rafael Coronado of Luxembourg will be out next. Not a climbing hotbed that I'm aware of. Someone might correct me. It's not a country we see represented that often. He'll be out next on the men's junior route. This is Emma Seliskar of Slovenia. They seem to produce 1 or 2 good climbers, Slovenia.
Yeah, certainly got a good team around her. Seen a lot of the Slovenian coaches just walking through the town yesterday, pretty pumped up after their great results, topping the medal table out there in Tokyo.
Well, they actually had a welcome back in Ljubljana with a huge live crowd right in the middle of Ljubljana, and the athletes were presented to the crowd. It was like when a football team wins the World Cup or something. Absolutely amazing scenes, not something we're used to in climbing. It's quite that level of public attention.
Well, it's only going to get bigger and bigger, and these athletes, especially if you're in one of the team like Slovenia, you're going to get used to a lot of exposure here. Climbing is absolutely on the up.
Yeah, that's the scene here in Arco. So you can see their male Youth B on the left in the orange, on the orange wall, and the other two rights over on the right, routes over on the right-hand panel.
So Emma just going up for hold 23.
Next to Oddie now of the United States.
Definitely winning the best chalk bag award of the day so far.
Oh, that's great. I like that. Absolutely enormous as well.
It's bigger than him. Actually not worrying about the extra weight. That is
No,
his
you
left hand.
Chalked all the way up to the elbow, I suppose. Look at it, it's massive. Yeah, that's great. Extra style points. Some climbers are busy cutting labels out of their clothes. He's got hands and feet hanging off his chalk bag. Love it.
Good powerful crossover from Lucas there. Really kept the momentum going just to whip that left foot up. Climbing really fluidly at the moment.
Toby Roberts still leading the way though. Anselmo Bazzani of Italy, 38 plus, and Leo Costanza with a 37 plus. The top three right now on that route.
See if Lucas will start to use this rest position. He's moving really fast at the moment. It looks like he might just be pushing through. Interesting sort of under knee bar heel hook on the shin.
Yeah, we've seen all sorts of methods of resting there.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that one's got a name yet. We're going to have to come up with one for that one. That's particularly impressive.
As Rafael Coronado, I have to confess I did not know the colours of Team Luxembourg. So we're learning.
Lucas, you can just see him just shaking out the left arm a little bit, starting to look a little bit pumped. Just kind of halfway up this line.
Gala Perez Patana of Spain will be the next climber on women's Youth B route. And we've got one more climber after her, and then the cleaning break.
Lucas just opting for that go again with the right hand. That does seem to be the favoured method. The athlete from USA. See the angle change instantly, feet cutting off.
That's Rafael Coronado falling, I think, short of a place in the finals over on the right, men's junior.
Lucas just picking up the pace here a little bit through this steep section, but this is very close to a high point now. Goes right hand to the first leg, but will he go again or will he try and cross up with the left? There's a high left foot available to him. Does go left foot. Oh, how on earth he held that. That was a serious effort there. It was absolutely nailed on for falling off there, but does keep it together. Right arm looks really pumped all of a sudden, and a good effort from young man from USA.
Yeah, brilliant burn. I'm still not quite sure how he stayed on that big blue volume. Good stuff. Slav Kirov of Bulgaria with the next route on that men's Youth B route. Marketa Janasova of the Czech Republic, next climber on the female Youth B. Sean Faulkner of Canada's just made his way out. He's over on the right on the men's junior route. certain other Canadian called Sean is off to the Olympics next year, as we found out in Hachioji after a rather nerve-wracking hour or so for Team Canada, as various appeals and scores and possibilities were ruled out. It's Sean Faulkner now on men's junior lead semi-final route live here in Arco.
Just to orientate ourselves on a little bit, the rails there at top one of those is hold 13 of the 3 rails, 11, 12 and 13 across the horizontal and up, diagonally up into the roof section. Looks like the DJ's just found that little bit of extra volume, just as what we needed.
You always sound like a pair of grumpy old men.
It's actually a pretty decent atmosphere here, really crowd.
Yes, it's nice actually. Sometimes at Youth World Championships we don't get a great attendance depending on where we are, but the fans always turn out in Arco. Nice touch. Still Julien Clemence leading the way on this junior route. Mikhail Tkachuk ended up 2 moves behind him. Still not able to match that 45. I think this route looks toppable, but you need to read it right.
Yeah, this male junior route, I would almost say the same thing. He's currently up around hold 28, but it's just got a little bit of sequencing to do here. We're not seeing this sequence so far using that volume up the right for your hands. That isn't actually a scored hold. So it's only there as a foothold, but now he pops into hole 30, and this is where the route really starts to kick in from this point here for Sean. I really feel like if you want to get into the top end of this semi-finals list, you've really got to get through hold 30, 31, just as he's doing. Hold 32 is the right hand side pull round the arete there, and it's just about getting through this section as fast as possible now and really pushing through that roof.
See Sean Faulkner, and we've got Slav Kirov of Bulgaria. He's on the bottom right, smaller screen, Youth B.
Sean just going backhand straight away into the roof here, instantly reading it as a feet first. We've not seen this method just yet. So many times here in Arco, the roof really just wants to make you spin around. He has read it as a feet first method. Does seem to be working for him. Just as I say that, as he slips, as he goes for the draw, see Sean bitterly disappointed with that. I think that's going to leave him in a really nervous period of waiting now, just before we see the further athlete. It's only about halfway through the semi-final here, less than. So we just got to see what happens there for Sean. And I think he just, as he's had his toe hooks, he did read that as a feet first sequence. Looks like his toes did slip just after he was getting the clip, and bitter disappointment there for Sean.
Yeah, it definitely looked like he had something left. Slav Kirov, we could focus on now, men's Youth B, left-hand side of the wall. You can see some other routes over to the right. Route set has been at it flat out and leaving parts of some routes on and completely replacing others and tweaking some. So all the way through this league competition today and tomorrow, we will be seeing kind of remnants of other routes.
Slightly cryptic sequence here for Slav through this section of triangles, and there's 3-4 holes all next to each other there. So that bump up with the left hand, that's hold 33. 32 is the right hand that he's got rolling over. Will be hold 34. Slav going well here, but it's just stalling out a little bit. We've seen Just a number of athletes in this angle change just start to slow down as the angle really kicks in, the pump kicks in. 48 moves is the top here. Nobody up that high just yet. There's that big cut loose we've seen already here. That was Slav. Gets the right hand for hold 36.
Klemen Novak's underway, bottom right of your screen. Team Slovenia. It's good scrap here from Slav. Pump definitely kicking in. And he can't quite stick that first move up to the blue volume.
Good to have a look at Klemen, also from Slovenia. And a good look at those crimps as well. So pinchy rails.
It's interesting in Team Slovenia, their men don't seem to be quite delivering at quite the same rate as the women in the senior team. Could be a little bit of pressure on some of those top Slovenian male climbers. Some serious competition coming through from the ranks for them.
Klemen using a really nice right knee bar there, just doesn't quite fit for him, so he's got to be right up on the hill, pushing through the big toe just to try and get something out of that knee bar. Stretch on these next two pinches, just got to release that knee bar to make further progress. Just got to make sure he doesn't fall off in the process. Easily releases the knee bar then.
Nikolai Uznik will be the next climber out on this junior route, and he is an interesting climber. I know the Austrian coaches have got very high hopes for him. Klemen Novak, meanwhile. Just going for the clip and perhaps going a little too early. No, manages to make it work, had a little fumble.
Joseph on the bottom left, bottom right of the screen, left on the wall. Klemen looking a bit tired here, but manages to get the cross through successfully. See that volume that he's using down right. Previous athlete Sean was using that for his hands. Klemen just approaching this angle change. You can see how the wall curves all the way over and comes back on itself.
Yeah, it's not ideal to be arriving there pumped because you've got a lot of hard climbing to go. Keep an eye on Joe, bottom right of your screen. It's about to be when Joe has finished his attempt. Could be all Slovenia on the wall briefly. Jackie of Slovenia, next climber out on men's youth B. 13th climber, so last one before the cleaning break.
I have to say that it's just a fantastic angle to see what these young climbers are up against.
Oh, it's made for the job. Great angle. Where's that been whenever we've been in Arco before? You can see him getting pumped, lost a lot of energy getting the clip done, I think. You can see the women's youth B route getting clean, by the way. Route setting team hard at work.
See Joe just shaking a little bit. You can see the sun just creeping around, hits his body now.
Yeah, the sun's not been as hot here in Arco as it can be sometimes in August. It's been hovering around the mid-20s the last couple of days, I'm told. We have been here in August, and it's been 10 degrees warmer than that. It can get fiercely hot as it is. It's pretty nice temperature, but that sun will be beginning to affect the holds. Slight disadvantage for those going later in the semi-final.
Joe just sort of power shaking a little bit through that section of crossovers, but does seem to be looking in pretty good condition still.
Slapped up with the left hand. He was just short of those two blue volumes. Was looking tired before that. Did well to fight, get a few more moves done. Judging by the reaction, feels like he could have done a few more moves. Yeah, there is the scene here in Arco. What a location. I think the reason, Mike, that we are universally loved and adored is that we don't grumble. We don't complain.
Far, but
I think
it's pretty good.
I think that's why everybody thinks we're such a wonderful pair.
Yeah, serious lack of coffee around here, I have to say, but apart from that, it's pretty good.
We're probably in about the only 5 square metres of Italy where you can't reach a double espresso. It's unbelievable. He put us out here. We should have a word with the union. The conditions are absolutely scandalous. Anyway. Here's Nikolaj Uznik. Jackie of Slovenia. Next climber out and final climber before the cleaning break on the Youth B route. Nikolaj just working his way towards the first of those roofs, and then just above that there's another one much smaller. Pretty unrelenting, the wall here in Arco.
Nikolaj on that familiar right heel hook now that we've seen from a number of the athletes going through this male junior route. Currently on hold 19. Really good left heel underneath that capping roof as well, so double heels to get that rest. Good efficient climbing. Time and time again we see on these long routes here in Arco that climbers do rest quite early, even though they've got a very long way to go. Time has been a factor just for a couple of different athletes in the qualification round, a few timeouts. Remember, just 6 minutes on these lines.
There's Jack at bottom right, just appeared with the dreads. Yeah, Nikolaj Uznik, we've seen him 1 or 2 senior World Cups going pretty well.
Yeah, I think Nikolaj will be looking for a big score here. Just on hole 27 at the moment. Austrians, another nation that guaranteed Olympic spots in the senior categories now, heading forward to 2020 games.
A lot of these climbers, of course, will have their eye on the Olympics after that. 24 cross climbing, not yet nailed on for that one, but I think that's what a lot of the climbers will have their eye on. Where if the rumours are to be believed, we're going to have lead and boulder as one event, and then speed as something entirely separate. So as it stands, female Youth B, the route being cleaned. Nikolaj Uznik climbing on the men's junior, and Jackie of Slovenia climbing on men's Youth B, bottom right of your screen, left as we look at the wall.
Nikolai manages to get through that sequence onto that left and right hand sort of Gaston jug now without going feet first, without cutting loose. Does just struggle with a clip though. That's definitely not what you need at this angle. That side on angle really does give you an idea of what he's up against. Nice wrap around that sort of undercut volume there though. Now he reads it to feet first. Big power scream as he releases around the corner. Another very cryptic sequence here. Climbers using his 2 or 3 different methods already, but this looks pretty good here from Uznik. He's got to unwind that right hand now, fire over to the edge. Gets it nicely. So he's looking good again. Yes. Now starts to power out though. Fades on the biceps as he goes through that treacherous overhang through that sort of undercut section of wall.
Julien Clémence looking all the more impressive with every minute that ticks by. Yaki, here's Slovenia. Oh, just going up again with the left hand. The roots, all the roots here seem to kick in pretty quickly. Oh, and with perfect timing so that we're never left with nothing to entertain us. That was ranked Alexandra Totkova of Bulgaria, climbing on the women's Youth B. Into the second half of that competition, and we're now halfway through both of the men's routes, so they'll both have a cleaning break. Finals coming up for you for these events this evening, starting at 5. We've got one after the other. 5 p.m. Arco time. And as I say, they will be back to back. See the speed wall? That's the middle event, if you like. The speed climbing. That's Tuesday. We've got Tuesday. We've got the speed finals. Qualifications will take place on Monday. On Tuesday as well, we've got some boulder semi-finals for you. Boulder semi-finals and boulder finals on Wednesday as well. And then more qualifications, and then on Friday we've got boulder, and on Saturday we've got more boulder and more speed. So a lot going on here in Arco. It's going to be a busy 10 days or so.
Haven't seen many athletes in this roof section here in the female Youth B, but hopefully with Alexandra we can start to see some of these setup moves in this super steep element of the wall.
Yeah, I've got to say, she looks like she's got something left. No doubt she's getting tired. Oh, that camera's great. As I say, where's that been every time we've been to Arco? Need to get that back up there next time we're here. It's a great camera angle.
Gives you a little bit of an idea of how hard it is to route read in such angles, such 3D climbing, so it's difficult to tell exactly which hand to go with first, and if you make a mistake in that roof you're going to get punished. Gets the sort of slot hold with her left hand now before pushing through the roof. Double toe hooks. Can she release that now? Cleanly does, really well.
It's a really good effort from her now. She's punching onto the head wall.
Currently around hole 45. 46 is this one that she's just wrapping with the right hand. So a really good effort here from Alexandra. Can she match that one, or will she be able to find a slightly different sequence? Does get the match.
Doesn't look the most comfortable match in the world, but she's back on track. This is a great burn.
She's just been told that time is up, unfortunately, so she has timed out on the route. She has been told, but because she can't hear, goes to the top anyway. She'll be scored somewhere around hold 48 when she timed out. Judges will have to make a call exactly when that 6 minutes was up, which hold she was on.
Still not sure she's quite understood the message, perhaps. I think she's just at one of our officials now with the very fetching purple hair, just explaining the situation. Slightly frustrating, but the rules be rules, sadly. There is a time limit, it's the same for everyone. We kind of had this discussion a little bit with Annette Verhoeven, who in Hachioji got timed out just over a week ago. It's a tricky one. Everyone's got their natural cadence, but if the time limit was 10 minutes, there might be some people that want 11. No matter where you set the limit, there are some people that would like to climb slower and take longer, but you got to set the limit somewhere.
Yeah, the route setters have tried to find a position on the wall that's fair for them to get as number of moves possible, just to kind of make sure they get close to timing out if they were to get that far, but not so many moves. So obviously you can see on that Youth B route on the left-hand line there that the climbers, the big top, the top sign there swinging in the wind at the moment. It's a fair way off at the top of the wall. It should be just the right amount of moves, hopefully, to get there within 6 minutes.
I don't know what's happening to Paul Simon's name here. He's been getting those funky looking graphics at number 7 there all the way through. He got them when he was on the wall, now he's got them again, so I don't know apologies Simon, I don't know what's going on there. That's how they line up. A few of those names might be familiar if you watch our coverage of IFSC World Cups. Mikel Asia, Lina Saroso, Molina. Going well earlier on in the qualifiers, and we see him quite regularly in World Cups as well. So there you can see over on the left, that's men's Youth B, and then in the middle on the grey slot is the women's Youth B. Anya Kola is currently climbing, and then men's juniors over to the right. Still waiting for the cleaning to be done, by the way. Victor Guillemin will be out next of France on the men's Youth B. There's just as a couple of the French coaches walk past our position, and that's a low fall there.
It's unfortunate for Anya. Yeah, the route was in good condition as well after the cleaning break.
I think that might be cleaning underway on the men's junior as well. That's how they stand in the female Youth B. Lucas Oddy leading the way. I'm pretty sure actually that that's not female Youth B. I think that could well be men's Youth B. But that's how they stand right now. 13 climbers gone, 13 still to come. You can see one of our route setters down and left. Drew the short straw and getting the cleaning done. As I mentioned, Victor will be out next. A couple more French climbers still to come actually. And speaking of France, sur les rondelles. Gets climbing on the women's Youth B.
Interesting watching Sula here as past our commentary position, the athletes who are going from the isolation zone through to the back of the climbing area, the forward isolation zone. Very confident looking young men and women, it's great to see. Being ushered through the outskirts of the arena here.
Yeah, it's a great venue here in Arco if you ever get the chance to come. It's quite close to some pretty big towns as well. It's not too hard to get to. You've got Milan and Verona not too far away. Innsbruck only a couple of hours away over the Brenner Pass. So it's relatively easy to get to. It's a spectacular location. I was going to recommend one place to come and watch an IFSC event. Arco will be right up there.
I have to say, it's the first time ever I came to Arco was to watch the World Championships back in the day. Thoroughly enjoyable.
About 2011? No.
Yeah, somewhere near there. Yeah. Long enough to go to not remember exactly when it was, that's for sure. Sula just putting in a big fight up to that right hand pinch. That's hole 27 that she was going to.
I think at your age, Mike, you can't remember what happened last week, so.
All I do remember is watching the finals, and they had just the most epic soundtrack to the finals. And every time there was a qualifying day as well, I remember it being 33 degrees. We were sitting here watching, probably getting close to what it is similar out there. And between each round, we just had to jump in the river and try and cool down, a couple of ice creams. It was a really good time.
That looks a little more like it. That is female youth B, Alexandra Totkova, leading the way. We saw her earlier on, actually reached the top of the route, but had been timed out. And the scores come through, she was timed out at hole 46. So this female Youth B semi-final going at a much quicker cadence than the other ones. And you can see there from a couple of climbers tired low down on 9+ that there's a little tricky move just heading up to hole 10.
Yeah, looking at Alexandra's score where she was actually timed out, it was the big orange sort of slopey jug underneath the final angle change. She went to hold 50, so she got a score of 46. So yeah, timed out relatively early on in that top head wall.
It is part of the game, judging your pace, getting your speed right. Here's Victor into the second half of the men's Youth B semi-final. This is Victor Guidamin in the youngest year of competitor here in Arco. He was born in 2005.
Just as we look at Victor on the wall there, you can see a ginormous sort of pointy hexagon volley round on the arete there. Doesn't really feature in this route at all. I imagine that's going to be used later on in the competition, where it says almost storing it around the corner.
Yeah, the sheer logistics of setting for a championship this big are quite remarkable, really. When you think that the setters have got to be so organised in which holds they're using, keeping them all in order so they can get the routes up and down quickly, testing them, replicating different sizes and body shapes, and then just the sheer volume of holds that they need. It's a pretty breathtaking undertaking.
I like it.
There's a lot of taking, both breath and under.
Victor putting in a bit of a fight now. Hold 29 is the one that's just moved off the arete, opting not to use it much at all, but getting that really nice looking right heel hook. Now does move his left hand back down to 29 before moving straight back up.
Yeah, there's this little jumble of holds that we've had a few big close-ups of. It's got 36 written on the wall. We've seen those holds, as I say, really close up a couple of times. He's got a bit of a fight in his hands now, beginning to look a little bit pumped. The movement's just becoming that little bit more jerky.
Yeah, Victor managed to skip a hold out on the right there, but it's potentially gone wrong-handed, but goes again somehow with his left hand off that really low right arm.
It's a big release off the right arm, though. He can't quite hang on to it.
Yeah, I think it was a route reading error ultimately, unfortunately for Victor. He looked really good going through it, but quickly powered out with the wrong sequence.
Novak Liza now underway, and Mikhail Essia Linasarosa Molina, who, as I say, we see doing not too badly in a lot of senior World Cups. Here he is in the juniors. Monsieur Lobe of Spain, next climber to be climbing on Youth B men's.
See, Novak Liza's got a pretty 3D fight on her hands there on the first of those overlapping roofs. She's really pushing out on this big fiberglass volume. She's got herself a bit pinned under the roof at the moment. And she doesn't have a handhold score that big volume, so she's read it that she needs to go out right by the looks of it, but according to our route map, she really wants to be on that left arête where her left hand currently is.
Yeah, she's climbed herself into a bit of trouble there, and she's determined to go up right. Not saying it can't be done, but it's certainly not the way the route was intended.
Mikazia going really solidly here at the moment.
I think would have expected to be a little bit higher up in the qualifiers, Mikhail. So he's got work to do. He's confident climbing though, chooses to get the move done before worrying about the clip. We've seen a few climbers kind of fumble this clip, and then sadly, as if by to curse him, he suddenly clipped with the wrong hand. Now got himself sorted. Yeah, look at that background. Wonderful day here in Trentino in Italy. Beautiful day, blue sky. What a day to be sitting watching the world's youthful best. Ah, can't quite figure out. Was he aiming for a hand swap there that just didn't work out? We saw it in real time. Interesting to see a replay if we can.
Yeah, just a point of interest there, Charlie. I wonder if there'll be a technical incident on that youth junior route, because there's an additional quick draw hanging in the middle of the wall just below that roof around hole 32. I think that's actually one of the route setters have left that up there when cleaning the route, and that could potentially be a case of sending somebody else up to go and rescue that, because it does add confusion to the line. So that's on the male junior route on the far right. Back to the left, this is the male youth B.
Eagle-eyed Mike Langley, I'm impressed. Look, we've just lost his compatriot, Mikhail. Sarah Kopar of Slovenia, the second Slovenian in a row, about to get climbing up. As I say, we can't actually see the wall from here, so if you guys at home can't see it, we can't see it either, but she must be either underway or about to be on Women's Youth B. And Petr Kuric of Slovakia, again, another climber we've seen in senior World Cups. It'll be the case with quite a few of the junior climbers. A lot of the names will be relatively familiar. And one or two in Youth A as well, who are climbing tomorrow.
Number of athletes from Spain here in this semi-final round. You do wonder if many more can make their way into the senior rounds, as Luke puts in a big battle. This left hand, we've seen a number of climbers starting to fade out into this next move. That's getting close to a high point from Luke, but he does ultimately fall off going to the side ball.
Yeah, they've got such a climbing heritage in Spain. Breathtaking amount of rock. Surely the most routes per head of population of any country in the world.
I think they've probably got the most routes per head of population unbolted yet. There's so many cliffs that are still undeveloped. It's just a staggering amount of rock every time you drive around. This is that super awkward volume section. You can see it there. It really just seems to be kind of making the climbers make a few mistakes pushing up into that volume.
It's tempting them outright.
Yeah, I mean, it's so much chalk on it as well that I think it's kind of very confusing. Observation was quite a long time ago now for these athletes, and another climber who's really up and into that roof. The sequence is intended to go up the left, the right, and then back right, and using that big volume as a foothold. But potentially, if you can get through that, there is a way of going up the footholds. There, the footholds just above her. Just managed to get the clip, but there's no further feet. So she's going to make progress through this section, either use a feature on the wall or carry on up the volumes through the footholds. This is interesting here. The judges may have to have a look at renumbering the route map if she starts to find a sequence that works without using the footholds.
Yeah, the problem is that next hole she's going for is all but non-existent.
She does find her way all the way through to hold 18 at the moment. If she matches it, that'd be 19. Skipping hold 15 and 16 and 17.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think one thing you really notice when you start watching youth competitions after you've been watching senior ones is that the senior climbers generally, they might make route reading errors, but they're generally quite minor. You generally see them more or less following the basic premise of the route. It's very rare you'd see someone really deviating that way. It's probably just a case of experience.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how this route map develops, because here it's the same number of hand moves, just a different way of going about it.
If we could just do without anyone standing on a bolt for a few weeks, that'd be quite nice. I'd settle for that. Adam Adamovsky of Czech Republic on the bottom right. Again, we know all about Czech Republic's most famous climber, Adam Ondra, but they really, we lose it quite low down. I think probably burned a lot of energy on that incorrect sequence. But yeah, they've got a lot of promising youngsters coming up as well. I wonder if this is the beginning of the Adam Ondra effect, whereby they've been watching the world's best who came from their country, and it inspires them to climb and makes them believe that they too can be great climbers.
Yeah, I think there's a heritage that builds up a legacy when climbers get maximum exposure in a country as well. Adam will be known outside of the climbing community in the Czech as well, so you think that that's going to lead into more athletes, younger kids being inspired for sure. It's surely going to have effect. We've seen even with a nation like Slovenia, such a small country by most people's reckoning, but yet a very, very strong climbing nation. But they got heritage, they got legacy. You've got people who have been competing for years and years and years, not just the kind of current superstars, and that's led to the current superstars being where they are.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Adam Adamovsky, he would have only been 4 years old when Adam Ondra was winning World Cups. So Adam Ondra's been there his whole life, essentially his whole life for him to look up to. Yeah, I do wonder if the Adam Ondra effect is, as you say, Mike, is playing a part in the increased number of Czech climbers we're seeing. Hard to believe it wouldn't. Relatively small country and the world's best climber living there.
Yeah, they do have a good sort of rock climbing history as well. Not that much of it's that safe, but they do have the kind of legacy of climbing as actual rock climbing as well. So you think there's a lot of outdoors men and women who enjoy getting on the rock.
Yeah, the Czech sandstone's one of those places I've always planned to go climbing, but never quite had the bottle to actually just go and rely on shoving bits of rope in crack, whatever it is you do up there. Emil Zimmermann, by the way, will be next out on this Youth B route. Leah Kempf of Austria as well just got underway. She's on the left-hand side of the bottom right of your screen, if that makes sense, on the female Youth B route. And Petr Kuric, as I say, of Slovakia. 15th climber out on the junior route as well.
Adam just goes up to that left hand, just off to the left toe rather than a high left heel. Maybe that was the thing that led to him falling off. Unfortunately, he was looking really solid up to that point. That angle change really Any small route reading error really punished.
Yeah, Leah Kempf, Peter Kuric on the way. Emil Zimmerman out next, female youth B. Peter Kuric, really strong Slovakian climber. Great part of the world, Slovakia. Not that well known, but lovely, lovely mountains, friendly people, quiet. It's a great place. Again, don't know much about the outdoor climbing. Let me know if it's any good. No chore to go on a trip to Slovakia, that's for sure.
Peter just trying to get his feet right through this next section and goes really fast between the two shoulders. That's hold 30-31. We've seen a lot of people just slowly getting through there but having a few troubles, but fortunately for Peter Kuric, big mistake.
And Leah just leaping up but can't find a way.
Yeah, she got through that first roof section quite well actually. We did use the intended sequence. Hold 15 out to the left, but unfortunately just powered out as well. Just looking back as to exactly what went wrong.
A couple of members of our route setting team there. Just done their work cleaning. Here's Emil Zimmerman. Blending in quite well with the volumes actually with that haircut. Hair colour I should say.
Seen a few good haircuts around the town.
Yeah, we have had a few good ones actually.
A few interesting colours out there as well through town yesterday, having a little look. The youth athletes really enjoying this championship so far. Such a great scene seeing all the different athletes from different nations hanging out together, having a pizza.
Yeah, I think there's a completely different atmosphere at the Youth World Championships and the Senior World Championships. I would never say it was less competitive, but there's not quite as much riding on it almost, and a lot of the climbers, while they're desperate to win, are also pretty desperate to enjoy the experience. Sometimes you feel with the senior climbers that really their enjoyment of the event is determined by how the results go. Doesn't seem to quite be the case to the same extent in the youth.
Oh, don't forget many of these athletes will be entering into the 3 disciplines as well. Speed and boulder still to come.
Yeah, we're all about lead today and tomorrow, and then after that we're all about boulder and the speed climbing as well.
Zimmerman falls down.
Lose him early.
Yeah, a little bit low, heading up to hold 23.
Gwen Morgan's out next, by the way, Team GB. There she is. And actually, she is the 7th to last climber in Women's Youth B.
You can see with Gwen there, she's up into that correct position on the wall. This is where the climbers are starting to be led slightly astray by that volume on the right hand side. Looks like Gwen has got the right sequence. Hold around that corner is pretty good and she can match it before moving back and right.
Just so you know, Alexandra Totkova, who we saw top the route after her time had already run out, will make it through to the final with only 7 climbers to go and her in first place. She is going to finish in the top 8. Looking a bit further down the order, Angie Scarth-Johnson, Leah Kempf, Sola Le Rondel of France will be getting a little bit nervous. Genevieve Dennis as well down in the the USA down in 8. Sadly, I think for her that won't be enough. Gwen Morgan read this pretty well so far.
Yeah,
not
just
tempted outright.
Just had to try a little bit going up to that sort of large fat pinch that she's got with her right hand. Now just gets the thumb in the bolt hole. Really nice looking left toe hook, just to really hold her into that rest position. Again, just searching around for the thumb. She tried it as a really wide pinch. Her hands just aren't quite big enough. Gets the thumb in the bolt hole again here. So good tactics from Gwen. Again, head rocks back as she goes over for the right hand side, but that was hold 29, so that'll probably be a 28 plus for Gwen.
I think, well, it'll be tight. It'll be tight whether that's enough. 28 plus on count back should move it into third right now. Third with 6 climbers to go.
Yeah, it's going to be
nerve-wracking.
But this route, that Youth B route, does seem to be causing some sort of route reading error really low down. So yeah, it's going to be a nervous wait for Gwen.
Yeah, she has. She's been given 29 actually, so no count back required. She does go into third place. Yeah, she's got a slightly nerve-wracking wait now. 6 climbers to go. If all of them finish ahead of her, she'll be 9th. Might be. Anyway, we'll see. Why speculate? Well, actually, because it's quite fun, but we won't speculate.
Harold Peters then from Belgium didn't take much of a rest going into this set-up moves with the roof here. Let's see what sequence he can make. Can he get through here cleanly? Quickdraw just hits it with his hand, but really nicely just stops it on the backswing. You can see the elbows raised as he gets a bit pumped through this really powerful route section, and does slip with his feet. Again, we've seen that a number of times now.
Yemen of Slovenia, excuse me, out next. Amelia Warensky of Austria out next. Nora Chi of USA still to come, and then we've got 3 Japanese climbers in the final 4. Sana Ogura, Hanakoki, and Ryu Nagagawa. And with Oriane Berton of France breaking them up. Julien Clémence is still leading the way reasonably comfortably. Actually, no one been within 2 moves of him over on the male juniors. Actually, nobody yet sure of their place in the junior final. Although surely Julien Clémence could be pretty sure. Absolutely stormed the route.
As you see on the small screen down the right hand side there, that's Amelia also sort of just struggling a little bit with the feet on this volume. A really high foot now seems to have got it sorted. This section's around hold 15 that it sort of gets really cryptic.
Yeah, lose Luca. He hadn't looked comfortable for a couple of moves before that, actually.
Amelia going for this big pinch move. We saw that from Gwen. Starting to become a bit more familiar with this upper third of the route now. Let's hold 27. See a huge bend in the right arm there for Amelia, just looking a little bit pumped. Just got to get the sequence right now. Hold round the corner. It's hold 30.
It's going to be it's going to be really tight. Female youth beat.
chasing down Alexandra's high point. Still a long way to go to get to there. The only climber we've really seen fighting in the roof. Let's see if she can find a good sequence through this route section as the angle really starts to kick in. Goes really stretched to the right hand, or somehow just pedals the feet up. Got to stretch down now for the quick draw that's currently tangled in her feet. Does manage to release it. Uses the right leg really wisely just to bring the quick draw up to her hand. That's good route reading and clever climbing there. She is still struggling with the quick draw though. Super awkward long draw.
Oh, how often do we see this where a long quick draw causes all sorts of problems? I'm not sure what else the route setters can do really. You've got to have quick draws. As I said, if we could just avoid any bolt standing, that would be excellent just for a week or two.
Does struggle with the next quick draw as well. She's in quite a comfortable position there. You can see how good the handhold is, but just how horizontal she is. Alexandra then uses this same sequence, left hand into the slot before getting that good double toe hooks. What a level of endurance she's showing here. Still fighting.
Comfortably into second place, comfortably into the final, I should add, because there's only 5 climbers still to come.
Hold 36 is the one Alexandra timed out on. That's the hold up and right, hold 46, excuse me.
Well, she hard to gauge her reaction actually. Not giving as much there, but either way, she'll be in the final tonight. We know that. Is Mejdi Schlack of France. Let's just confirm what that score was actually from Emilia Warensky. 45, so 1 move short of Alexandra Totkova. Both of them will be in the final tonight. Oh, needs to get the feet back engaged there. Mejdi. Oh, yeah. Burned a lot of energy. Oh, now can't get the clip done. Suddenly in real trouble. And this does not look hopeful. Oh, as soon as the feet cut loose, it was like when your phone goes from half to empty in a split second. Yeah. Just suddenly it seemed to drain of energy.
Not the first climber we've seen as soon as the feet cut loose to start to struggle on that section. The pump really does kick in if your feet go. First big angle change on the route there from Mejdi, and unfortunately really pumped out.
Nino Grunenfelder of Switzerland now climbing. Nora Chi of the United States will be climbing to his left, may well be underway now. Just heard Nora introduce the crowd now, so presumably she's just getting underway. Vladislav Shunovich of Russia, the next climber over on men's Youth B. Only 7 climbers still to go in Youth B, so that means our leader is already guaranteed his place in the final. That is Lucas Oddy of the United States. Toby Roberts in second and Slav Kirov in Bulgaria, you'd imagine, have probably done enough, but nothing is not done till it's done.
Nino just getting through those sort of 2 really close quick draws. So really nicely there through on the right hand route. Initially missing that left hand hold, but now going back to it. Nora just left of him. pushing through really nicely now.
Oh, such an awkward clip though.
One of the quickest climbers actually to that point on the wall. Time really shouldn't be a factor here. Just in terms of getting high on the wall, it should be okay, especially for Nora, the speed that she's got there. Just using the right volume there. We have seen a couple of the guys across there, but holds are really the ones we want over on the right, because that volume doesn't have a handhold score, so it's just a route reading situation here for Nino at the moment. He's holding that big sloper on the volume. Now he sorts it out, just moving his hand to the undercut on the left and crossing over. You can see there that additional quick draw that was just right of where he was has been cleared away, so the route setters did get their act together, got up there.
Vladislav Shunovic of Russia getting underway, bottom right of your screen, bottom left of the wall, men's youth B.
Nino just over crimping on the right hand, just absolutely locking that hold 31 for everything it's worth. Pushing into the roof now. Has he got something left to get through the potentially the crux on the route?
We lose Vladislav pretty low down in the youth B route.
Team Switzerland's going really well here this semi-final round already. Just opting to take this double hand wrap.
Right, could do with motoring here through this middle bit. Nora Chi, meanwhile, bottom right of your screen. Actually to the left as we look at it. Beginning to having to shake out quite a lot, and actually could do with getting a little bit higher if she wants to find a spot in the final. Each move being reacted to with big shouts from Team America down the front of the wall.
Nino just trying to figure out what sequence he wants to go for here. Looks like he does want to go for the correct sequence with the right hand over. Now goes feet first through the roof, manages to get a bit of a right toe hook established on that big box hold.
Oh, this is clever climbing from him.
Looks like he's going to try and go all the way around, but he does need his hand where his foot is. Unfortunately, he realised that just at that moment as well.
And what can Nora do here? Swinging through the roof, goes out with the feet. Hard drop down move now. Got to get that right hand over. She's not quite read it the same as some of the other climbers.
Yeah,
and ended
just
up
facing completely the opposite way to the other two athletes that we've seen in that roof section.
Well, not much you can do now other than watch. 4 climbers still to go on that one. Let's wait for her score to come through. 42 for Nora Chi, and so she is safely in the top 4 with 4 climbers still to go. I mean, she can't be moved.
In the male youth B category.
You've got such a strong team, Ukraine, through all the categories. Really strong climbing nation.
Yeah, talk about taking inspiration from other athletes in the senior competition. Evgenia Kazbekova had a stonking 2019 so far, making both lead and bouldering finals.
Yeah, sadly it didn't quite work out in the combined though. Ukraine had high hopes for Evgenia making the Olympics, and she absolutely still could get there, but yeah, it didn't go according to plan. The combined for Evgenia. But they've got some strong climbers. Daniel Boldyrev was going well in the speed, isn't he always? Sergei Topishko. As Philip Schenk walks past our commentary position, he'll be on the wall soon. The former youth world champion.
Yeah, just talking of Evgenia Kazbekova, there is the Arco Rockmaster dual competition that's going to be going on here. That's you'll start to see some of the more senior kind of professionals and celebrities on the scene coming down here to Arco for a quick go on the dual wall. That won't be live streamed, but it will be here and free for everybody to watch in the arena. So if you are in the area, come down and watch that one. That's always a classic. It's kind of like lead speed.
That's great, yeah. Great evening. Climbers race on identical routes for the duels. It's quite unlike identical lead routes. It's quite unlike anything we really see at the IFSC. Sana Agura of Japan is underway. She's in the middle on the grey streak. Sota Amagasa of Japan also climbing. It's all Japan over on the right hand side of the arena right now.
Ilya just using that knee bar to rest quite wisely. Nearly a factor on the route.
I think that's partly as well, because we haven't seen anyone making a good dent in the rest of the routes.
Spencer on the left really just comes down to this section, kind of get through this sort of bouldery side pull section quite cleanly, gets the big sort of block pinch with the right hand with not too many issues. And it's all about keeping the feet here, moving up into this undercut.
Got to keep the body tension, that way it keeps the feet on.
Seen a number of athletes using the left heel now, brings up the left heel. That's better.
It feels like a while since we've seen anyone near these blue volumes. Keep your feet on, they certainly feel a lot better, that's for sure.
Doesn't use the lower left foot, just right next to his left heel at the moment is a little jib it doesn't seem to need. Now he's pushing into the top few moves.
Going really well here. Just lost him rather suddenly, it felt like. Sota Amagasa of Japan. Add him to the list of beasts that Team Japan have got on their rota.
Slightly different sequence to get established in this roof section. Reads it as a complete feet first. Again here in Arco, the climbers reading things as feet first through this classic roof. Moving really swiftly, though no hesitation on his sequencing through. That does actually seem to have ended up in exactly the same position that we've seen from 2 or 3 of the guys now. Looking tremendously pumped but still fighting.
I think that could be enough for him.
Yeah, that would be a score of 33 plus probably for him. Absolutely flew up to that point. You can see how quickly he was moving through that roof, and that's what you've got to do in that roof. You cannot hesitate.
And Koiki of Japan now. Koiki.
Three Japanese women through to this Youth B semi-final, all of them in the top 4. Give a bit of an idea of their form going into this competition.
Big shout out as well to the Japanese coaches. I've seen quite a lot of them here today who were in Hachioji last week. They're working all week, looking after the climbers, doing just about everything the climbers require to reach maximum performance, and immediately jump straight on a plane over to Italy. Do it all again for 10 days, a whole new set of people to look after. So big shout out to them. It's not an easy thing to do.
The sequence has caused a number of issues for different athletes. It seems to be a really tricky little route reading one. It's this stand-up move that seems to be causing the problems.
What'll be interesting to see, as we see 3 Japanese climbers in the last 4, is whether they've all read it the same during observation. Have they shared information and that may be wrong information?
Yeah, it's slightly misleading in many ways how that volume out to the right has so much chalk on it. Got to stick with what you know, though. They obviously read this one correctly. It has to use a lot of energy, though. Has to get the full crimp on the left arm just to try and kind of battle the pump a little bit.
Igor Delub, by the way, just got climbing on men's junior. There it is, just appeared bottom right of your screen by the yellow arrowhead volumes. Sutta Amagasa, by the way, I was waiting for a while for his score to flash up, come through at 44, so that'll be him through to the final. Over on men's youth B, by the way, we must have Gego Valli of Hungary. Assume he's on the wall already. Must be about to be if he isn't.
Hannah just getting into the top of the sort of less overhanging terrain. You can see the roof just starting to come into picture at the moment. Going well here, being a top 3 athlete, you imagine you'll start to see somebody close to pushing Alexandra's high point of 46.
Yeah, she looks slightly tired here, Hannah, but maybe we've got another Ai Mori on our hands where she looks tired and then just does another 30 moves.
She's trying to shake out the pump a little bit, but there's quite a lot of pinches all in a row here. Sort of hand grip that these climbers really don't enjoy is sort of a bit more open-handed, pinchy. They kind of really prefer the small edges, more like that one there, but the route setter's employing a lot of slopers and a lot of pinches on this Youth B route. She's looking pretty tired though. Head just rocks back as she moves into the steeper terrain.
Hannah climbs right next to our camera.
Wonder if the moment will come where one of the climbers uses the camera as a foothold.
Touch wood, in the 4 years we've been using that camera, nobody has kicked it or touched it yet. Although Sean McCall came to within a whisker of hitting it when he fell off once. That was the closest we got to disaster. I think if the climbers knew what it was worth, they'd make even more effort not to kick it, to be honest. Cost them a fortune to replace. So Hannah taking, well, I was going to call it a rest. A pause might be more appropriate. Got to get the sequence right here, because when your feet cut loose and you swing around, if you're in a bad position, it's pretty hard to correct it. So she's got to be pretty confident that it's going to work.
Yeah, it looks like she's just going to flip the hands around just to try and sort it. There's going to be a big release here. Now you can see it moves that right hand into the undercut jug to release the feet and gets tangled in the rope in the process. She has timed out, unfortunately. That's why the rope went tight.
I actually thought she caught herself quite badly in the rope there and was trying to free herself, but as you say, Mike, she realised that that was her time up. Apologies, someone with an antisocial person with a radio next to us. Soon get rid of that. Here's Ziga on the right, Team Slovenia. 6th to last climber on the men's junior. So Julien Clemence, who set that high point very early on, still leading the way in the juniors. I have to say, at the time, it looked like a very good effort, and it is holding up as more and more climbers come and go.
Yeah, you can just see the way Julien went through that head ball. He's really bouncing between the holes with such confidence. I think he knew at that stage in the route that he was going well.
So Yunta Sekiguchi gets underway, men's youth B, bottom right of your screen. Keep an eye on the scores now, because we are at the stage where we already know a few of our finalists for this evening. As I say, we're getting underway at 5 p.m. tonight. All 3 finals back-to-back live for you in Arco.
Ziga going pretty well here on the right-hand side of the arena. Hold 30. That sequence just low. It does seem to have caused a few issues, as has these sort of double slopey Gastons as well. It's just a little bit of a route reading situation to get done there.
So bottom right, Yunka Seguchi of Japan is the 4th to last climber out, which means that our top 4 are guaranteed their place tonight. That's Ilya Mania Kin, Lucas Oddy, Toby Roberts and Gergo Valyi of Hungary, who we didn't actually see on the route, I don't think, but he climbed himself into 4th.
Ziga just fighting the pump quite hard there, just he had trouble getting his right heel around the arete. Now he's gone past a quick draw here, so he needs to swap hands and go back unless he can. No, it brings his foot into play to get a clip. That's the second time we've seen that in the semi-finals.
Yeah, if it works, it's clever stuff. The problem is if it's not quite long enough and you bring it up with your feet, or he needs to get his feet back involved. Ah, that went wrong very quickly for Ziga. I'm not surprised he's frustrated.
These roofs here at Arco, it's not the first heart that's been broken up there, that's for sure.
And I'm just staring at that little screen, bottom right of your screen. I'm pretty sure that's Oriane Bertoni of France. Second to last climber on that route, actually. Ryu Nakagawa, the final climber out. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that is Oriane. As I say, both of them, France and Team Japan, wearing blue uniforms. And our monitor looking very small. Sekiguchi climbing men's youth B. Oscar Baudrond of Canada, and then Haruki Emura, and then Satomi Yoshida, the climbers still to come. Looking solid on these volumes here.
Yeah, Yunta just gets into that top pinch. That's hold 42. Can we see a new high point in this men's competition? Needs to be pretty close to a top to get a high point. Looking super pumped in the left hand all of a sudden. Let's just try and shake it off. He's got a really nice little left heel hook and toe look on there just to keep him in. It's really steep. It's hard to see from the angle just how steep the wall is here. Chalk bag swinging off the back gives you a bit of an idea.
Yeah, he's going really well. Not had anyone up here for quite some time. That is Oriane as she climbs past our camera on the bottom right. Apologies, I couldn't make out whether it was the blue uniform of Japan or France. And that's very close to a top, and that will be a place in the finals. Oriane's going well here.
Yeah, she
Seems to have read it well as well.
It's really smoothly through there. Look at that sort of clamp between the arete and the heel hook. Oriane looks really comfortable in this angle at the moment. Hits that hold. That's hold 46. That's where Alexandra timed out.
So a move, any move here will move her up onto a new high point. Either way, she'll be in the final tonight, but she doesn't know that.
This is where Alexandra match. You can see how bad that hold is, but she's so good on her heels and her toes here.
Yeah, Oriane looking super strong. Really didn't struggle at all with the match. Doesn't actually look, all things being relative, that pumped. Remember, time's not stopped until she clips a quick draw. And that is about to be, oh, don't drop it now, is about to be the first official top of the route. It was topped, of course, but Alexandra Topkova earlier on timed out. So nice work from the route setters. They got one top, yeah, if we're being pedantic about the rules, two effectively, but one top within 6 minutes, which I suppose is all that counts. And it falls to Oriane. And I was saying she didn't look that tired, and suddenly realised that actually she was.
Absolutely boxed on that top pole. She had a pretty good jog with her left hand, but it's so steep. One thing I would just add though, don't want to bring bolts into it, but maybe a slight touch of the bolt right near the top there. It won't matter because she will easily be into the finals. I wonder if anybody else saw that. It's quite hard to see from the arena, but on our angle there, maybe a right foot, just a couple of moves from the top.
Oh no.
Not to speculate.
Far be it from me to speculate.
It was a brilliant climb though, really thoroughly enjoyable.
Katsura Kanishi now. So Oscar Baudrand of Canada, as I mentioned, will be back on the wall.
Katsura of Japan then entering the roof section. How will he read this Arco roof? Will he go feet first? Does he go hands first? One more setup move to get into that position.
It's really been the place where the climbers have been getting separated, that's for sure. Got to be really careful. Can't be reckless throwing your feet out. We've seen a couple of climbers chuck the feet out and then not be able to get them back. So you can't kind of let the feet get too far from you, if that makes sense.
Yeah, a lot of climbers in this position. Obviously, it's really hard to read these routes, but we have seen people staying front on, climbing conventionally rather than feet first through this roof, and sometimes they read the history of the line rather than the actual route itself. It's so many times we've seen feet first sections on this route. It's just got to concentrate on the moves themselves and kind of not what you've seen in the past, and really struggling to get the clip here. Katsura. Now he manages to get it all the way around.
The problem is he's got the rope wrapped around himself.
Yeah, that wouldn't be the first time we've seen that in this roof as well.
Oh, it could be a pretty uncomfortable fall if he fell off now, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's a rope burn where you certainly don't expect to get one.
Yeah, he's got to be, well, I know he's concentrating on doing the route, but yeah, that would be pretty nasty if he fell off. It's can't help wincing slightly at the thought of that rope uncoiling if he falls. Oh, and there it is. Ouch. Ooh.
It's quite hard to watch there for a minute. It seems to have just brushed it off. It's Yeah, time will tell, but what that one looks like under the Japanese jersey there.
Yeah, you could see it wrapped around him, and you thought, well, when he falls off and gravity starts to do its thing, it's going to unravel, and it kind of threw his right arm behind his head. Yeah, presumably not the most comfortable of falls. As you said, Mike, seems to have brushed it off. Made a tough stuff. This heat won't be phasing the Japanese climbers either. It's a bit positively chilly compared to what we experienced in Japan last week. 7 or 8 degrees cooler and quarter of the humidity here in Arco. Oscar's going really well on the men's youth B. He'll have climbed himself into the into the final of that, I'm sure. Confirmation hopefully coming through of his score any second. 2 more climbers, Hanuki Uemura out next, and then Satoni Yoshida. And this is our final climber in the women's youth B semi, Ryu Nakagawa. Actually, looks quite similar and quite similar body shape as well to Nanako Kura, who we saw in Hachioji. Japan really did have a very good senior world championship.
Yeah. All Japanese athletes really featuring in the upper half of the start lists.
Yeah, of course, as ever in IFSC World Cups and World Championships, climbers in reverse order. So if you qualify first, you climb last in the semi-final, and that privilege falls to Ryu Nakagawa. Just trying not to be distracted, I'd imagine, by that camera waving around next to him. Really has provided us with the best shot, so.
Yeah, it's interesting just to, as the camera sticks to the left-hand side of this, it gives you an idea of these set-up moves. As you see from that front-on angle, you really can't tell how steep this roof really is here in Arco. Just a couple of quick moves, left-hand, right-hand, now double match into this roof. Just gets the setup done really nicely.
Just to give you a heads up, a 29 or 28 plus will get her into the final. She's the last climber out. I'm pretty sure she's actually long surpassed that. We'll just check our route map.
Yeah, she's way up there at the moment. She's held 40.
Yeah, Sarah Copa. She's going to dislodge. Gwen Morgan will be the lowest ranked climber who does progress to the final, end up scoring a 29. Quite a big gap actually between 5th and 6th. In 5th was Nora Chi with the 42, and then Hiju No of Korea, who was 6th, was 11 moves behind at 31.
Ryo takes the big cut loose to exit the roof there. I was just wondering how she was going to release the feet. Does it in a slightly more dynamic way. That sort of additional screw on down on left. Now she moves into this set of rails. We could be close to a second top here in the women's youth B category.
We could. We don't have a clock on screen. Time surely a factor. It's just that many moves you have to do. Oh, and she can't quite manage the top, so Orion Bertoni will go through as the highest ranked climber. She'll climb last in the final. We'll just wait for confirmation of what Ryu's score there will set.
Should be a 48 plus, just for a slight route reading error.
That'll be enough for second. Haruki now, men's youth B. Yes, it is a 48 plus, and it is second place. So the final for the female youth B, Orion Bertoni, Ryu Nakagawa, Alexandra Totkova, who set a high point that lasted for a long time in this semi-final, and then Emilia Warensky of Austria, Hana Koike of Japan, Nora Chi of the USA, Hiju No of Korea, and Gwen Morgan of Great Britain. They are your 8 finalists for female youth B.
Good to see one of the superstars in the Italian youth lineup, Philip Schenk, in the small screen down and right. Can he put on a performance here to get himself into the finals? I'm sure there'll be a lot of support tonight here in Arco.
Yeah, well, he's kind of at that stage of the route now where it'll be decided. Philip getting a lot of encouragement, as you'd expect. Climber of real caliber, true all-rounder. Italy got a climber qualified for the Olympics as well, in the shape of Ludovico Fossali. Stefano Ghisolfi and Marcello Bombardi all looking to find their place, haven't done it yet. And they've got Philip Schenk nipping at their heels as well. This is great, it's in the same climber from 2 angles.
Philip looking really comfortable in this roof at the moment. He's got himself into a really good resting position. Despite the angle change, he would have been through this roof so many times here in Arco. Just knows you've got to stay relaxed and get the route reading sequence right. Obviously the next set of holds is completely blind from this position.
Haruki going very, very well through the blue volumes on men's youth B. Will have done enough for a place in the final, but he'll keep fighting, I'm sure.
Has stayed in the roof for a long time here, Philip. So he's keeping one eye on the clock.
Hard to believe you can get much back there. Must be supremely fit.
What a position to be resting. He's hanging on the front 3 fingers of the left hand, left toe hook. Now crossing really nicely. So much control through the roof here for Philip Schenk. This is where it's really going to kick in though.
Philip Schenk, I think, could be very close to setting a new high point here. Could be heading for a top. I just hope he didn't burn too much time hanging out underneath the roof. Italian crowd getting right behind Philip Schenk. And can't quite find a way to top, but it's a great effort from Philip Schenk. Comfortably into the final. Good job from him.
Yeah, he was superb through that roof. He really showed his experience there.
Yeah, it's a new high point and a comfortable final spot.
Yeah, it'd be good to see him in the fight on the roof, and there's a little bit of use of the arete higher up. They really seem to hit the sweet spot on.
So 1 more climber to go on men's youth B and 2 over on men's junior. The women are done. Philip Schenk's rope is pulled through after he took a pretty good lob off the top, having set a new high point. Satone Yoshida now, the final climber out in the men's youth B. Always feels slightly disrupted when you've got 3 semi-finals. You never quite feel like you really get to know any of the routes, but hopefully we can really follow him.
There has been some extraordinary performances on the wall already. Like you said, Charlie, with 3 climbers on the wall at once, a lot of talent to keep an eye on.
Well, I mean, yes, 78 climbers we've seen in action today, or we will have done by the end. So, yeah, as I say, you don't feel like you quite get to know the routes so well, but hopefully we'll be able to watch them a little more closely. Satoni is the last climber out, and it's Slav Kirov of Bulgaria who will be looking on nervously. He's currently in 8th place.
Nothing worse than finishing 9th in the semi-finals. That's the real sort of heartbreak positions.
Yeah, if he can make it through Satoni, he will be the 3rd Japanese climber into the final, which would be a pretty, once again, a pretty good effort from Team Japan. That would mean all 3 of their climbers through to the final. Alistair Duval, very strong French climber who we see in 1 or 2 World Cups. 3rd to last climber over there on the junior semi-final.
Satoni Yoshida then going through this first sort of tricky little boulder problem.
Yeah, he needs a 39 plus.
Right hand up first, then bringing the left hand underneath before rolling over to this slightly awkward looking position on this left arete. Goes from the low foot, now brings the left foot up. Does lose the feet. We saw a number of athletes losing feet there, but looks super fresh.
He's still got some work to do as well. Mike, how far up is hole 39? You got that route map. He can't be too far off. Studying our route map again. We've got 3 route maps, 3 start lists.
Yeah, it's on hole 39 at the moment.
There we go. Yeah, 2 laptops. There's a lot to look at. There we go. Great, so that's him safely through to the final. Sadly, it is Slav Kirov who will miss out.
Satoni looking really solid. Surely there'll be a top here. Just as I say, that does look, it's just losing the feed a little bit.
Yeah, quite sensibly backs down.
Sort of pinch there. You need to get the right hand solidly on that lower right hand hole, but now crosses up. Can we see a top to finish this competition? Male Youth B hits the top hold.
Oh, that's a perfect finish to the semi-final. Route setters would bite your hand off for that finish. Last climber, first top. Absolutely goes according to the script. Good job from the route setters and a good show from the Youth B climbers. They are done. It's all about men's junior from here on out. Alistair Duval scrapping hard again. He'll have found his place in the final just by getting to this stage.
Can we see a top in the male junior route as well? Alistair struggling quite a lot here, just can't quite find the unwind out of the roof.
No, he'll be pleased when he comes down and sees the scores though. He knows, he doesn't know shortly that he's safely through. Is that Nai Mignon closest to the camera again? So these are the scores from the men's Youth B. You can see that it was Slav Kirov. Only just missed out. But somebody has to come 9th, as Mike said. It's kind of the hardest position to come, really. You were so close, especially when you're tied on score and it comes back down to your qualifying result. But the 3 Japanese climbers take the 3 top spots, and that was the middle 10, and then we'll have the lowest 6 ranked climbers as well. Aman Varma of India down in 26th, 21 plus the score. We should be pretty close to having the female Youth B results as well, I'd imagine. Okay, penultimate climber out on the junior route. Over on the right, Stefan Schertz of Austria. Shooter Tanaka still to come after him. It's Philip Schenk currently leading the way on this one. They're 47 plus. Kind of had a launch for the top move. Didn't look too convinced himself.
Yeah,
but he went for it.
Had a good flap at it. Why not?
Yeah. Julien Clémence alongside him, and then it's Alistair Duval, Suta Amagasa, Kotsura Konishi, and Mikhail Linisarosa Molina, and then Harold Peters of Belgium, and Mikhail Tkachuk of Ukraine, the two climbers in the potential drop zone. Mike, feels like the route test has got things pretty spot on here. Yeah. One top on each of the routes we've seen concluded.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. I mean, the route setters themselves would admit setting for the Youth World Championships is one of the hardest jobs out there. To go through with one top or close to one top on either of the routes. Just this male junior one to go with somebody going quite near the top pile, two climbers still to potentially challenge the top quick draws, but yeah, really good job for the route setters, and they've got hard work still to come. No lunch break for them. I don't imagine they'll be straight on with resetting these routes ready for 3 finals still to come tonight.
No lunch break. Can you imagine?
Pizzas all round for everybody.
That's one thing. If you're
going
to
the route setters.
Yes, well, they'd be able to get a takeaway. Oh, we lose him low down.
Area. Massive route reading area there from Stefan. He's crossed over to a sloper that's barely a hold. We have seen some people using it. That is a big mistake.
And that means Harold Peters is safely in the final.
Quite interesting, the local MCs almost as disappointed as Stefan is himself, saying he knows him, he could have done at least 30 more moves.
Oh, way to rub it in, yeah.
Big disappointment.
Yeah, Stefan will be thinking, tell me something I don't know. Okay, well, big disappointment for the young Austrian. He kicks the gravel as he heads off. He's absolutely fed up with everything, basically. And, a disappointed young man. Shooter Tanaka, the only climber still to go now. Immensely strong Japanese climber. Already been in lead World Cup final this year. That's the only one of the top holes that no one has yet visited. Philip Schenk, as we said, had a good look at it. I think it was more for show than a genuine belief he was going to climb it.
Route setters actually saying earlier on this morning that it was a real honour to be able to set for the climbers such as the calibre of Shooter.
Oh, he's a bit of a monster, Shooter Tanaka. It would be a big surprise if he was not to find his way into the final.
Having said that, that big slip from Stefan, it is possible to make a route reading error on this route. A couple of sequences, it's the footholds that led the climbers up the wrong path a little bit. The reading sequences around some of these footholds seems to be a little bit cryptic.
He actually made the final here in Arco last year in the Senior World Cup, Shooter Tanaka. And as you might remember, it feels like a while ago already, just under a month ago in Briançon, he picked up a bronze medal as well in the IFSC World Cup there. You might remember, extraordinary clean sweep in Briançon from Team Japan with Hidemasa Nishida picking up the gold medal. So Shooter able to mix it in a World Cup, and as I say, you would expect him to be safely through to the final, and possibly the favourite for the final if he was to get there in the junior competition here at the IFSC Youth World Championships in Arco. Just heard the venue MC say we're on the last, aka the best climber. No pressure then, Shooter.
Yeah. No personal preference there from the local MC.
No.
He's doing a good job out there in the heat.
He is. It's a hard old job. You've got to keep prattling away all the way through the qualifiers and all the various rounds and keep your energy up. He does a great job. Great guy as well. Nice to catch him briefly this morning before we came on air.
Shooter full of confidence through this lower sections, campusing.
Yeah, he kind of looks like a mouse toying with a mouse toying with a cat. Cat toying with a mouse with this route. Doesn't look like he's quite fully engaged with it. Still got some work to do if he wants to make it into the final. Few more moves required yet.
Yeah, you always do wonder with sort of campusing around the lower sections, just full of confidence, easy to make a mistake. This is exactly this section here where Philip Schenk made an error. He went up to that hold right hand really fast and just thought it was a better hold than it actually was. Shooter just kind of cruising through that section, open hand pinching that far right hand orange hold and using one of the left volumes down and low on his arrowhead, upside down arrowhead for his left foot. Again, just pops the feet.
Hold 43 he's got to get to, Shooter. Anything 43 or better, that is him home and hosed and into the final for this evening. Anything less, you would have to say, for a World Cup podiumist would be a very big surprise. Here he comes into the roof. Mike, which one's hole 43?
Hold 43 is the big box on the exit of the roof, so he's got to go all the way through the roof section.
So we saw Philip Schenk take an enormous rest. You can see the hold he was resting on, nicely silhouetted against the valley, against the sky. Slightly moody looking sky in the distance actually. There's a little bit of rain forecast for later on, maybe half an hour or so. So here goes Shooter Tanaka, still short of where he needs to be for a place in the final.
Just got to get through this roof section cleanly though. He's starting to shake the forearms a little bit now though. So obviously starting to feel this route a little bit. When he bring the feet around to his hands, he continues to go feet first.
He's got fitness to burn, Shooter Tanaka, on that right hand crimp. It's not a great hold and clipped, calm as you like.
He's just trying to figure out whether he wants to bring his feet back around to where his hands are, sort of facing the conventional way around, or if he wants to go feet first. He needs his left hand where his left foot now gets it. Does continue feet first. Very close to a final spot here, but still a little bit of work to do. That should be it pretty much for Shooter now. There's one more move actually, excuse me.
So you've got to get up to that next orange box.
I'm about as confused as he is going through that roof section.
Yeah, it's absolutely 3D climbing.
That's hold 43.
Okay, so that's Shooter in the final. You can kind of lose track of where the climbers are going through that roof. Shooter got himself untangled now. He's got to get the clip done before he goes any further, just correcting on the right hand. Could we see a top here to complete what's been a pretty fantastic job from the route setters? Shooter needs to get that clip down by his feet. If he's judged to be beyond the last clippable position, he won't be awarded a higher score. And he's got himself in a little bit of trouble, and to add to that, he's got the rope caught around his leg. Now that is not ideal finish from Shooter Tanaka. For some reason, the quick draw was right in front of him. He'd know it was there. For some reason, just kept on motoring. And yeah, absolutely in the last clippable position. He's got to clip it, by the way. He can't just be brave. The rules say he has to clip it, but he does well. He'll want to find a top here. Not that he knows anything about Philip Schenk's performance, but a top might make a difference if it came to countdown. But as it is, I think that fumbled clip just cost him a little bit of energy. But Shooter Tanaka, one of the stars of this junior lead lineups, is safely through.
He didn't really need to go in that level of battle mode, but I think he wanted to show his opponents kind of exactly where his fitness was. Climb the route in a very overly confident style in many ways, bouncing and campusing around quite easily. He had to really slow down through the roof here once again in Arco, and in the end a fumble clip at the top. But there you can see the results of these three semi-finals.
Yeah, this is female youth B, Orion Bertoni. The only top, although big shout out to Alexandra Totkova down there, who did actually top the route, but she just ran out of time. So that is How it ends in the female youth B: Orion Batoni, Ryu Nakagawa, Alexandra Topkova, Amelia Warensky, Hannah Koiki, Nora Chi, Heijuno and Gwen Morgan. Your top 8 for this evening. Sarah Kopar and Angie Scarth Johnson just miss out. Down through the middle order, good fight from everyone. You can see pretty consistent scoring, pretty clear where the crux of the route was, around the 22nd to 24th hold. Anyone that got significantly further, that pretty much made it into the final. And lower down, a couple of slips low down, and on that tricky move up to hold number 10 for Olivia Marr and Annika Stockel. And over on the men's side, I was about to say, I'm sure Shooter Tanaka would be the same score as Philip Schenken, moves ahead on count back into first place. Could be crucial. Philip Schenk takes second, Julien Clemence takes third after a really good early burn. Alistair Duval will join him in the final, as well as Sutta Amagasa, Katsuri Konishi, Mikael Assier, Lina Sedoso Molina, and Harold Peters of Belgium. Mikael Tkachuk in unlucky 9th. Doubly unlucky when you score the same and it's count back that ends up costing you. A couple of people might have been expected to be a little higher up this order. I'm thinking there, Nikolai Uznik, Petr Kudic, but very high standard in the men's juniors, and there's no place for them in the final. Lower down the order, it's Louis Gundolf who rounds it out, but every climber getting to at least hole 20. Entertaining semi-finals all round today. Finals coming up at 5 p.m. So that is all from us here in Arco for about 4 hours 20 minutes. No, it's not. We'll just recap the scores. We saw these earlier. Okay. Yeah, we did see those scores earlier, and it was the men, despite what that graphic said. That is all from us here in Arco. We've got about 4.25 hours. We get going at 5 p.m. Arco time this evening. All 3 of those finals in the categories of the semi-finals we've just watched getting underway 5 p.m. here on the legendary walls of Arco. We will see you then.